We do these webinars every 2 weeks, thereabouts, on Wednesdays. And on occasion, we like to do something that's a little different than our typical overview, which is to talk about maybe a specific situation or a specific buyer profile we're seeing where Acre can really serve folks well. And today, that group is actually realtors buying for themselves, realtors as residents, we might say. The basic idea here of Acre, for those who haven't already been introduced to us, is that Acre is a way for folks to buy a home that is different than a mortgage. It's has the sort of upside of owning a home, but the flexibility of renting. Rather than going to take out a big loan, this structure is a lease option structure, which gives us the ability to create a really simple and flexible process end to end for folks as they're trying to get into a home. But the basic idea is that you choose a home you love, you partner with Acre to buy that home, and you share in the home's appreciation while you live in it, whether or not you decide to go get a mortgage on that home later on. You could decide to move on and still have that upside in the home. The core here is what we call the value share. It's the contribution that folks make toward their home with Acre upfront. It's 5% of the home's purchase price, and it unlocks these critical benefits. So you become a cash buyer. You're not going to pay any transaction costs with the purchase. You're going to share in the home's appreciation while also saving monthly versus what a comparable mortgage would be all in on a monthly payment basis. And the major maintenance is also on Acre. So it's a simple experience while you're living in the home, a simple experience when you're getting into the home, and gives you all sorts of flexibility and financial upside on the back end. So again, the core here, the Acre value share, that 5% you put toward the home up front, that stays with you, whether you decide to get a mortgage later or bring cash later to purchase the home outright. You could transfer from one Acre home to another, and that stays intact. We just move it from one home to the next, or you could cash out your value and take it with you to whatever is next. Now, how does that apply to folks who are in real estate? Um, when you're walking around all the time with your clients looking at homes, I know that there are a huge portion of folks who are in real estate who every time they walk into a home that they kind of like or kind of see some potential in, they're just thinking like, I could do something with this, whether it's for yourself or for an investment property or something like that. So many targets, so little time. And there are a few things that tend to keep folks on the sidelines when it comes to making a move for themselves, even though they're in and out of homes all the time and talking to buyer clients all the time. Maybe the biggest thing we see with our realtor residents is being a 1099 contractor. You might make fine money, you might have great credit, but because you are a contractor and it's seasonal, it's sort of lumpy from one month to the next, it just makes the process harder when you're going to get a mortgage or thinking about what sort of structure you want to use to get into your next home. Another thing that happens a lot is that if you are in real estate serving clients, you probably also have some of your own investments on the side and might have a mortgage on those. So we talk to a lot of folks who are in real estate and serving clients, but have their own rental portfolio with its own mortgage burden. And what that means for you when you're already thinking about a complicated process on the mortgage side for buying your next home is that you have now a second or third or whatever mortgage, which means that a lender is going to say, even more so, I need you to bring a higher down payment. I need you to show longer track record or whatever before I'm going to give you the next loan. And then finally, you want to keep your options open. Again, a lot of reasons for that. Sometimes it's because you have plans to go do more entrepreneurial things and expand your business. You might want to move, you might want to relocate, you might have family obligations where you need a home in this neighborhood right now because of school situation, but you don't need to live here forever. And putting all your eggs into one basket with a home just doesn't make a lot of sense to you. So for all those reasons and many, many more, we do find that Acre can serve realtors, people who are in real estate full time, really, really well, in addition to their clients. And so what it looks like for you all as real estate professionals, maybe I'll highlight a few things here. So there's a simple approval process. You being a 1099 does not scare us at all. We see a ton of 1099 folks, realtors or otherwise, and our process is really, really simple. We're going to go over it in just a moment. Importantly, this is a lease option structure. It's not debt. So this is not going to be a second or third or however many mortgage for you where you're going to get hit with a higher down payment requirement or a higher rate or something like that because it's a debt structure. It's not debt. That helps with the underwriting and approval process. It helps you when you're thinking about your own financial plan. It's only 5% up front. And again, for folks who are looking at debt options or thinking about cash, like, wouldn't you rather put your money to work elsewhere than having it all sitting in one home? Maybe you reinvesting it in your own business. You're still going to get a great financial outcome. You're going to be able to have some appreciation upside in the home, which is great. It's very flexible. And again, you get to be the buyer and the client here. And that means you get and the buyer's agent. And so you're still going to have an opportunity to get a buyer commission on a home that you're buying with Acre for yourself. Not a bad deal at all. I'm going to talk now just about the product details. So, kind of the process and some of the nuances here. So, the basic process for folks is hopefully really similar to what you would otherwise do with a traditional purchase. You're going to apply right on our website in just a few minutes to purchase. We'll send you a formal approval notice letting you know what your purchasing power is with Acre. You find the home, the home you want to be moving into next, and then we actually partner with you and buy the home on your behalf. It's a cash transaction. That means the process can be really simple and also really fast. We're usually closing within just a couple of weeks. I'm going to dig into each of these. So, on the approval process, really just three steps. The first is a soft credit check. We're looking for a 660 or better. It's a soft check on purpose because if you are looking at other things or you're, planning to go look at a mortgage for this next purchase to do side by side with Acre, or you have other things you're working on, this is not yet another hit to your credit report. We're looking for the funds available for that 5% upfront. That can come from cash savings you have, an investment account. It can come from equity in a home that you're selling and are planning to bring when that home sells. It can come from gift funds from a family member. Any of that's fine. And then we look at your gross income. And this, again, is where we are able to help a lot of times folks who are in real estate full time and have all kinds of other things working in the background. That's not a full DTI check. So if you do have other properties that you own and rent out, this is not going to be impacted by that. If you do have lumpy income because you're, doing what is often seasonal work, working with buyers and sellers, that's fine too. We can look across a bunch of different income sources by banks, by 1099s. Like there's lots of different forms and ways we can understand kind of your whole financial picture. But we'll send you a notice usually within 24 hours, or we'll come back with follow-up questions within 24 hours if we have them, and you'll be out shopping. On the home, a couple things to point out here. We obviously want to have a look at the home as well. We want to make sure that we're picking a home that is well positioned to appreciate and that is going to be a good living experience for you as well. It's not going to be a constant maintenance headache. So that's going to mean, generally speaking, homes that are newer, but not exclusively so. If we're looking at an older home, but the systems are all well maintained or been updated recently, that can be fine. And then otherwise, kind of think middle of the bell curve in terms of price point and home features, but really looking in great neighborhoods that are, again, well positioned to appreciate and have some typicality with them. So we're not buying the one oddball house. Again, the why behind all of this is we want to make sure that we can deliver you both a good living experience and a reasonable prospect of some financial gain by making sure you get a great home. We'll show in a moment what that looks like on our website. We have a bunch of homes on there, but you're not limited to that. A lot of times, again, working with real estate professionals, they might have a hot tip about a home that's about to hit the market before we've even seen it. So you can always submit homes that are of interest to you as well. All right, and then we work together to craft the offer that's going to win. We want to collaborate. We want your expertise about the neighborhood or about specific dynamics within an area that might impact pricing. But importantly, the 5% that you bring up front, what we call the value share, that is your only cash outlay up front. You're not on the hook for due diligence or earnest money. You're not on the hook for inspections or title fees or anything. That's on us. Your 5% goes toward the home, and that's all you're coming out of at the beginning. And if it's helpful for you to do some transaction coordination during that closing process to take some of the administrative burden off you, we're happy to do that as well. What it looks like while you live there. So we tell people to make the home their own. For some people, that's really simple things like I just want to hang some paintings up or paint the walls. That's great. Some people want to take bolder steps. That's fine too. If something big in the home fails, think HVAC or roof or water heater, something that's going to be a surprise multi-thousand-dollar expense. Again, that's our responsibility, not yours. The day-to-day is borne by our resident, but we also have folks on the team who are standing by to help if you have maintenance questions or you just want us to take care of something or you want to take care of it yourself, but you want to make sure you're doing it right, whatever it is. And I will say that the photo there is an actual Acre team member, not a stock photo, and that may be the guy that you're getting in touch with. When you're thinking about what this looks like over the long term, flexibility is really key. You have a few options. We're going to sign an initial 3-year agreement. Your payment's going to be fixed for that 3 years. If you decide you want more than 3 years, you can extend. If you decide, you know what, I'm ready to go get a mortgage. I love this home. I'm going to be here forever. Or I love this home, but I want to move on and I want to keep this to rent out. You want to go get a mortgage so you can do that? Great. You could do that. You bring whatever lender you want, and your 5% value share that you've put in, plus your share of the home's appreciation, can go toward that purchase. You could also decide to transfer from one home to another with Acre, or you could just cash out entirely. And again, that same value is going to come back to you either to put into your next Acre home or to just put in your pocket. That's both the 5% value share plus your share of the home's appreciation. So it can be a really great, simple process and great financial outcome. To kind of illustrate this, um, our North Star truly is that for people who are in, say, a 3 to 5 year time horizon or an uncertain time horizon that ends up being 3 to 5 years, this needs to be a better financial outcome than a mortgage. And the way we get there is that one, you've got a lot of upfront savings. So you're not paying closing costs, mortgage origination, maybe other odds and ends that go with getting into a new home. You're going to have ongoing savings in terms of monthly payments against what the comparable mortgage would have been. And hopefully there's no major maintenance event, but if there is, that's not coming out of your pocket. And then on transition, if you decide to walk away or you decide you want to take possession of this home, there's no selling cost. So you've avoided that. You're benefiting from the home's appreciation. And so, this is sort of illustrative of a 3-year period, but a pretty good outcome. And that's an actual Acre home there that we bought with some folks in Raleigh a few years back. So, given that sort of median or average price point, $500,000, getting $80,000 in sort of net financial benefit against a mortgage is pretty good. All right, I'm going to go to the website and illustrate a couple things here. So I mentioned that we have homes on our website. That's often one of the first places folks go. If you click on the Homes tab, you can select your market. I have Raleigh-Durham selected now, but the important thing to note here is these are just homes that are on the market. These are not homes that Acre owns. We don't buy a home until we have a client who wants to live in that home. And so every week, as folks are putting more homes in the market, we screen them and are looking for, fantastic homes that tick all our boxes and say, if somebody wanted to buy this with us, we would. If you don't see something you love, you can always submit a home here, or if for your own purposes or with a client you're working with, if they have a listing, if you have a listing with them and you want to make sure it's hitting our site as well, you can also submit that here. There's a How It Works tab that kind of walks through the mechanics of things similar to what we're talking about here today. A calculator for the folks who are a little more quantitatively inclined and they want to really dig into the numbers and understand how this compares to a mortgage and how we get to the numbers we put up on the site. Try to be very transparent. It's all right here. And of course, we're always happy to walk through it with you if you have questions as you're going through. All right, but next up, let's talk about some actual client stories, actual real estate professionals who have ended up working with Acre for their own home purchase. So first up, Smith family, lovely home in Atlanta on the north side there, 670 price point. And this is one thing I always try to point out to folks if they're not so familiar with us or they don't really have a sense for how this works. A lot of times when I talk about a lease option structure, the home, the neighborhood, the price point that people are thinking of is not this. It's not a $670,000 house, lovely home in a lovely neighborhood in Atlanta. It's something maybe a slightly lower price point. But trying to illustrate the point here that this is not for sort of fringy situations. This is for people who are looking at really great homes and have options, but find that this one suits their purposes better. So these folks, this family, the Smith family, the wife has been a licensed agent since 2019. For her, this was a way to get into the right neighborhood for schools for her school-age son. And she wants to keep some flexibility because she's also planning to use some of her resources and her debt options to purchase rental property, right? So she's thinking kind of big picture, fitting her primary residence into her bigger plan in a really smart way. Next up, Mason family. That's closer to where I'm standing right now in Raleigh. Again, 500, $1,000 price point, 511. Licensed agent since 1986. I won't tell you how old I was in 1986, but I was not old enough to be working at Acre. Um, for this family, Mr. Mason was really excited about keeping some cash free because he has kids who are approaching college age. And so he needs to have some flexibility in his resources, but he did want to optimize for neighborhood, really around his commute into his local brokerage office. And so this is a great way for him to do it and avoid a bunch of the headaches of going through mortgage and having to put more resources to bear on this home purchase. And then last up for today's purpose is the Martin family, again, going to Atlanta, $650,000 price point here. Licensed agents, this is a husband and wife team who are both agents. The wife's actually the broker in charge of the managing broker of her office, but licensed since '06 and 2013. Again, schools play a factor here. This is very, very common, not just with our realtor clients, but with all of our clients. A lot of times, if you are optimizing for a particular school zone for your kids for whatever period that is, middle school, high school, what have you, you got to buy your way into that neighborhood. And that's true here. And for them, they were previous homeowners. They've bought and sold homes before for themselves. They had a lot of equity in their previous home, and they wanted to get a great home for the next few years of high school, but also not have all the resources tied up in that home because once the kids are done with school, they don't need to live in this neighborhood anymore. They can get their hip condo in the downtown area or whatever. But they've got the resources to be able to do that and not tie themselves up in a bunch of process when it comes to leaving this home either. All right. So if you are interested and you want to know more, or you know of colleagues, clients who could be well served by this, real estate professionals or otherwise, what should you do now? Well, the first thing I always tell people is check out our approval process. It doesn't hurt you to try and go through and see how it works. Even if you're not sure you want to use it for yourself, just knowing how it works as you're making recommendations to clients can be really, really helpful. As I mentioned before, there's a soft credit check, so it's not going to hurt you to go through it, and there's no fee or anything like that. But that QR code on the screen there will take you to the page that'll help you get started with that, create an Acre profile, and kind of go through it. Takes most folks 10 to 15 minutes and is worth the time to just know what options you have. If you're not ready to do that, you can always get in touch with us to get your questions answered. So the phone number below and the email address below there will ping all of us who are on the sales and operations team. And so we can direct you to the right person based on what market you're in from there. But we'd love to get in touch and talk through what this looks like in more detail for your specific situation or for any clients that you might be working with. Of course, also share a home of interest. If you're kind of poking around, you've been out looking at homes with someone else, one of your clients, and you found something that didn't work for them, but really kind of piqued your interest, share it with us. Let's talk through what it might look like as an Acre resident, what it looks like from a monthly payment standpoint, how we feel about that market, how you're feeling about that part of the market. It'd be a good place to start, even if it doesn't end up panning out that you want to buy that with Acre, just again, as an object lesson in how it works and how you might use this elsewhere in your business, we'd love to have a chat. All right. That's it for now. I'm happy to answer any questions folks have. You can drop those into the Q&A section here on Zoom. Of course, also feel free to follow up if you'd like to have a one-on-one conversation live. Happy to do that. But I'll stay out as long as folks want to, but otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining.